All right, in this short module, I just wanted to cover a few things related to strings that we haven't covered before, but are pretty critical in doing some of our apps and other things in Swift. So what I've done is broken it up into three simple sections. The first is looking at string concatenation. That means how do we put strings together into bigger strings. The second one is string interpolation, and I'll explain that when we get to it. And the third one is the string escape character, which will be critical for certain characters that we want to have in our strings. First, let's look at string concatenation. So if we take the following code that we see in front of us, the first one says var galaxy equals the Andromeda galaxy, so that's clearly a string. And then var distance is a string which says is the closest galaxy to ours. So then if we have in our third statement, var sentence equals galaxy plus distance, this is the concatenation operator. So very much like you might do 3 plus 4 and get 7, with strings, you're not really adding them the same way. The plus operator is a concatenation operator, which basically just takes the two strings and puts them together. So we see here now when we do our print statement, here is the string that we get out of that, which says the Andromeda galaxy is the closest galaxy to ours. And that's the concatenation. Now you might be saying, well, wait a minute, it looks like there's a typo there in the slide, but there actually isn't, because both of these statements or both of these sentences are fine as is. And when we put them together, there's no space here. So therefore there's not going to be any space here. And that's basically a strict concatenation of those two sentences or those two strings. So if we wanted to add a space in, this is what we can do. We can basically continue to concatenate, and we can actually put in a string right in the middle as well. So it could be a variable that refers to a string or another string, and we just keep putting these things together the way we want. And of course, we end up with a new sentence or a new string that has the space in it. So that's basically string concatenation, pretty simple. Now with string interpolation, what it allows us to do is to create a string of whatever characters we want, but in the middle of that string at the right spot, we can actually include a variable from our code, and it will turn that into a string and put it in the string. So for example, here we have print, and then we say galaxy, and notice we have this backslash open paren close paren, and then we have the variable galaxy, which comes from this variable here, and then here we have backslash open paren close paren, and we have another variable distance, which comes from here. These will actually get replaced with whatever the value of that variable is. So string interpolation is not just limited to strings. We can also substitute in values from other variables such as integers, doubles, booleans, and so forth. So for example, in this section right here, I'm showing a new statement var mly or mly, which means million light years, and the double 2.538. So we can interpolate that right into our string. So as our string reads here, we can say galaxy distance, so it's the Andromeda galaxy. Distance is the closest galaxy to ours. At, so notice how the string at is put right in there. Then we've interpolated this number 2.538, and then we actually in our text say million light years. So we can create this sentence right here, that string, by a clever use of using strings where we need to and using interpolation where we need to. And then the final thing is escape characters. So sometimes we want to put, for example, a quote, which is a very common character that we might want in our string to be in it. So for example, imagine that we wanted to say the Andromeda galaxy, and for some reason we wanted the name Andromeda to be put into quotes. Well, the problem with the way this is written right now is that the way the compiler and the way Swift is going to look at this, it's going to say, well, okay, this is a start of a string because it's an open quote. And then right here, it sees another quote, and that is going to signify the end of a string to it. So if that's the end of the string, which it really is not what we want, then what happens is the next character, it would have expected, say, a plus or the end of the statement completely, plus for concatenation. In this case, it sees a letter A, which it does not understand at all. And so that is going to be a compiler error. And so this is not going to work. But this is where escape characters come in to help us. So what happens is we put a backslash in front of a character that might confuse the compiler as to the beginning or end of a string or a character it doesn't understand. So by putting this backslash here, what we're doing is saying the very next character, just use it as a string character. So now we have our open string, our open quote here. Then these are quotes that are actually in the string itself. So they do not start or end a string in any way. And then the end of the string is over here. So that basically creates the escape character, the slash, which allows us to put in something like another quote into our string. So that would give us, for example, the Andromeda Galaxy. When we print it, it would print like this, and it would actually print with the quotes in the string. So those are some basic things to just think about when you're working with strings, and it'll go a long way in your projects.